Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Referrals Podcast. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, another great episode here today. I'm very excited about giving you some thoughts around being awesome. You know, I swear to goodness, I need to write a book like How to Be Awesome, but I never felt like I was qualified. You guys figure that out. But here's the thing, it's like how to be awesome. What does it take to be awesome? Like, seriously, I want you to think like the people that you know are awesome. Why are they awesome? You know, are they awesome because they're taller than you or faster than you or stronger than you or smarter than you or what? And the answer to all that is probably no, right? People are awesome because they're generous, they're appreciative, they're loving, and they hold themselves to a high standard. And what I cannot wait to introduce our awesome guest today, who I know is awesome because I've known her for quite some time. But a couple of the things that I want you to get out of this is, number one, I want you to realize that for awesomeness, it doesn't have to be 1,000 people. It doesn't have to be complex. In fact, it can be simple. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can be affordable. It doesn't have to be big. It can be small and high quality. And I'm talking about events in general, but specifically high quality, high class, holding yourself to a higher standard is the way to be awesome. And I think the other thing that I really want you to know about awesome is that it needs to be based on love, generosity, and appreciation. You know, do something out of the kindness of your heart. Do something that's going to provide a lot of value. Today, we're going to talk about a shred and purge event, which doesn't sound very exciting. But we're going to show you the excitement behind that event. And I think the biggest thing that I really, really want you to notice about Carrie's story as we go into this is how she had an opportunity and she made the most out of that opportunity for her team and for her database. And then, just get the sense of what this is all about. I cannot wait for her to tell you her story. And before I do that, of course, I've got to do a shout out, right? First of all, shout out to the listeners. You guys have made us a top 100 podcast. We're trending in marketing. We're trending in Singapore. I don't know what those two have to do with each other, but dang it, we're trending. We're trending. I've never been trendy in my whole life. Now I'm trendy. We're starting trends here at the Referrals Podcast. Hopefully, the trend is all salespeople go away from the hardcore closing and they start trending towards this loving, generous, and appreciative way of attracting referrals. That's what I hope. So a more specific shout out goes to Aaron Long, a mortgage professional. He says in a 5-star iTunes review, have you reviewed the podcast yet? Truly a masterful collection of referral strategies to earn you more referrals. From mindset to scripting, from actionable content to the motivational get you going content. This podcast has it all while staying light and funny. Funny! I'm not funny. Our guests are funny sometimes. And presenting info in a way that almost makes you wonder, why didn't you think of it sooner? Cannot recommend this enough. 5 stars, easy 5 stars. Aaron Long. Thank you, Aaron, for that. And then one last thing before I bring on our esteemed guest today. Join us for the first ever and last ever 7L Book Club. You can go to the number 7, letter L, bookclub.com, 7lbookclub.com, and I am leading the book club. That's right. Me personally, it will be live. It will be on Zoom. And Tuesday will be Tuesday. It starts on June 2nd. Tuesday will be Tuesday, which means you choose what strategy you're going to implement. And then on Friday is do or die day. And what that means is you either did it or you get to die that death of when you said you were going to do something and you didn't do it. So it'll be more do day than die day for most of you on those Fridays, but every Tuesday is Tuesday. Every Friday is do or die day. And every week we're going to cover 3 chapters of 7L, finishing with the 12th chapter and the glossary on the 4th week of June. So I'm very, very excited about that. Check it out at 7lbookclub.com. Somebody that is intimately and infinitely attached and knowledgeable of the 7L world is our guest here today. If you're in the North Atlanta area on a weekday, odds are you're going to find Carrie camped out at a local coffee shop. Having lived in the area since 1985, she knows all the hot spots and enjoys supporting local businesses while conducting business of her own. Never satisfied with her own high standards. That is no joke. That's my interjection right there. Carrie is constantly learning and pushing herself to be better. Her continued quest for knowledge helps her stay up to date on the latest methods and technologies. This thirst for knowledge, coupled with her warm personality, enables her to provide unrivaled real estate expertise and genuine from-the-heart service. Smart, creative, fun, these are all my words that define Carrie. When she's not doing her real estate thing, you might spot her rolling around town with her 2 sons, Cash and Brady, and or husband, Tommy. Carrie and Tommy met while attending Georgia Tech and are proud today to call Roswell, Georgia, home. Welcome to Referrals Podcast, Carrie Qualters. Welcome.
Woo! Referral Podcast. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Michael, for having me.
I love it. It's like Wayne's World. That's what I thought. It's Referrals Podcast. That's awesome. Well, I so appreciate having you on. For those that don't know this, Carrie coached with myself for many years, probably, I don't know, 10 years ago to about 5 years ago, and just totally embraced and went 100 miles an hour with the 7L system. And she is very, very, very referable and does her business primarily by referrals. And we could talk about a lot of things that she does with systems and processes and technologies and tools and things like that. But the one thing that we're going to focus on today is an office level, so not team level or agent level, office level, brokerage level event that was held called Shred and Purge. And it was held on May 1st, which is a Saturday, between noon and 3 p.m. And that's the first thing that I want to talk about, Carrie, before we jump into maybe the specifics of the event, is why May 1st and why Saturday from noon to 3. I love all of those, but tell me more about why they worked and why they work.
Yeah, you bet. So we wanted to do our event in spring because spring cleaning, everybody's cleaning out basements, cleaning out closets, and we wanted to give people an opportunity to get rid of all their junk, right? So we do this event annually in the spring. The last 2 years, we've had to shift the schedule a little bit because of COVID, both years. But we still held the event with COVID safe things going on. We picked Saturday because people are available Saturday. They have packed up their truck on Saturday morning and they can bring their stuff to us. And we like 12 to 3 because we all have kids in sports and you can either bring your stuff before the game, after the game. That tends to be a time that is game shift time, right? So that time seemed to work out the best. And we don't want to be there all afternoon. We kind of want to have just a short time because then it feels busy. Mm-hmm. Your steady stream of people coming through packed into 3 hours instead of spread out over 5 just lends more energy to the event.
Oh, I love it. I love everything about it. Saturdays make more sense because people are out and about. You're not robbing anything on Sunday, and the 12 to 3 makes perfect sense, especially in a sports crazed town like Atlanta or anywhere else, honestly, is if people have games, and some people may not even know this, especially with baseball, is their games are probably 8 and 10 in the morning or 10 and noon. And then, or they're going to be 4 and 6 or 6 and 8 in the afternoon. Right. So the genius of what Carrie was just saying is we're going to go 12 to 3 because people are going to be most accessible. They're going to be most able to make it. And then I love what you said about consolidate the time. Instead of doing 12 to 5 or all day, you're doing 3 hours, which condenses the time when people can come. So more people are there at the same time, and you get that social proof. You get the fact that, you're looking around and there's a lot of other people, which makes it a more popular event in their minds. So I love all of that. And did you do the shred and purge last year?
We did. Actually, last year was our biggest year yet.
Yeah.
Because
lost a little momentum with COVID this year.
Well, we were supposed to have it in March, right when everything shut down last year. And we were everybody, what are we doing? We all did kind of just stay inside for 3 weeks straight. And then here in Atlanta, we opened up very quickly compared to other parts of the country. And so we as an office looked at it and said, you know what? People have been home for a month now.
Yeah.
Cleaning out their stuff. Let's put on gloves. Let's put on masks. This is an outdoor event. We won't allow people to get out of their cars. We'll take the stuff out of their cars for them. And we had record turnout for that event last.
Okay, that's a drop the mic moment for me. In a time when you would expect your attendance, that's what everybody's worried about, right? Your attendance to be the lowest. It was actually the highest in the heart of the pandemic. I mean, we're talking April, May, and you had more people than ever before do a drive-through event, come and drop off their big items and clean out their house. Right. I mean, that is how many years
we got in trouble with our broker because the dumpsters were overfilled into the parking lot.
What a great problem to have. Yeah, so much demand that you had spillover. That's a beautiful thing. How many years has the office done the shred and purge event?
I think we've been doing it 5 years now.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that, but that feels right.
Okay. And so tell us a little bit more about the event. It was an office event, not a Carrie Qualters event or a Bright Homes Atlanta team event.
Correct.
This was actually done at the brokerage level. How many agents are in your office?
Our office has about 350 agents right now.
I mean, okay. Well,
you want to know how many participated this year?
Yeah, that brings up another 5,000 questions, right? Okay. So I have a lot of questions. So number one, who convinced the broker to have a shred and purge event at the brokerage level?
That's a good question. It was one of us.
Yep.
Yeah. It wasn't me, but it was one of us.
Okay. So one of the agents, and so that's what I'm talking about from the listener perspective, is if you are an agent in an office, this is genius. The reason it's genius is because somebody else will do all the marketing, will do all the cleanup, if it's a brokerage level event, you are now leveraging everything your broker and your brokerage have to offer, along with maximizing the event yourself. So the beauty here is there were 350 agents. So I'm guessing anybody that's listening to this probably has a smaller brokerage than that. I mean, 1 or 2% may have more, but it's one of those, go to your broker and say, hey, listen, I've got an idea. You could do the shred and purge event anytime, anywhere. Like you could do this in June, you could do it in August, you could do it in October. It makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. All right. So the broker is like, yes, we're doing shred and purge event. And then out of the 350 agents, it begs the question, how many participated?
This year we had 11. Awesome agents.
Should we just end the podcast? What's the...
No, I want to make sure that everybody knows how easy it is, even with just 11, and then we'll end it.
Yeah. So 11 agents out of 350 took advantage of the opportunity.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So luckily it's the 11 awesome ones who are like, oh my gosh, you mean the broker is going to do all of this stuff and all we have to do is communicate with our database about this?
That's right.
And
we agents actually did the work, but 11 agents shared the load.
There you go. Yeah. Right. So, all right. Well, first of all, how did you communicate with your database that there was going to be a shred and purge event at your office May 1st between 12 and 3.
Okay, so as a group, the agents put together flyers.
Okay.
So we
the
had
11 agents.
Yep.
So did you get together as a group? How did you Zoom?
We had a committee meeting and said, how are we going to do this? You do flyers, I'll call the shredder, I'll call the dumpster guy, kind of figure it all out. You make sure Jim knows we're doing it.
And Jim is your broker, just so everybody knows. And he is one of the top brokers in the country, in my humble opinion. I've spoken probably more at his office than any other office in the country. So I'm a Jim Armstrong, Jim Alexander fan.
A flyer, what we're taking, what we're not taking list. That's important because you don't want people showing up with things that you have to turn away. And tickets. So you email your clients a ticket and they have to fill it out when they bring it in. We always have extra tickets printed at the check-in table because people always forget their tickets. But that's how they have to put which agent invited them.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah.
All right.
And so
wait. No. You already. All right. So what was on the flyer?
The flyer says, shred and purge, this date and time, please come, get rid of your clean out stuff, and visit.
Here's what we take, here's what we don't take, must have a ticket to get in, right?
That's right.
Now tell me about the ticket. What was on the ticket? Was it ticket white? Was it gold? Was it like how did you run it this year?
The ticket is an 8.5 by 11 white.
Okay.
It says shred and purge on the top. We added our Bright Homes Atlanta logo to ours.
Okay.
It's got client name, phone number, address, and agent who invited me to the event.
Okay. Did you put any other questions on there, like about sponsors?
Well, if I had done it, we might have added some check marks about, do you know anybody who needs to buy, sell, or invest in real estate?
That's right. Let them refer you without any pressure and all the, no time constraints, right? So
that would be a good thing to add.
Yeah. So I like that though. I mean, so that's the beauty is you could tweak the ticket, right? To make it your own. And all right. So were there sponsors of the Shred and Purge event?
So one of our lenders brought us lunch.
Okay. So the lender, hey, listen, that's a good start, right? That's a good thing. All right. So who's the lender? Who's the lender? We got to give them a shout out if they provide lunch.
Supreme Lending brought our lunch on Shred and Purge Day.
All right. All right. So Supreme Lending brought lunch, paid for lunch, hung out. That was good. And then, so the flyer goes out and they also get the ticket through email. So was there more communication with your database than just email?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what'd that look like?
So the MailChimp email goes out.
Yep.
And then a follow-up text a couple of days later, wanted to make sure you saw our email. And then we take probably the top 20% of our database and go through and call and say, we'd love to see you.
Yep.
That includes, the people we touch the most often, upcoming clients. This was a great touch for sellers that are coming and working on their house, because what a service to them. They're cleaning out because you're making them clean out.
Yeah.
And so bring their stuff. Now we've got a lot of sellers kind of in situations right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. We've had a year and
I totally get it. And that's one of the things that I love about Dumpster Day or Shred and Purge Day is it actually attracts potential sellers. And the thing is when is the best time to sell your home? When it's clean and when it's decluttered. And what's interesting is if your real estate office or your real estate team or you as a realtor are holding this event, what happens is this is actually a really good excuse for them to ask you questions. They'll come down and the dumpster day or the shred and purge is the excuse, but what they're really doing is they need to kind of be convinced that maybe they should sell. Or they're gonna ask questions about selling. Did that happen at all during the event?
Most people bring a small amount of stuff that they totally could have dumped somewhere else. They're coming to say hi. And from far away, surprisingly. So people really don't need much of an excuse, especially now that we've been cooped up for a year, to swing by and see other humans.
Yeah. How many years again? I want to make sure that.
5.
Yeah.
5.
So this is kind of a 5th year anniversary deal. And that in itself is something I hope people write down from this. Is it's not a one-time event, up and down and done. This is an annual event. So guess what? People can plan around it. They know it's coming. There's a familiarity with it, which is very referable. So I love that. I love that. Okay. So I have to tell you, I absolutely love the follow-up text message after the invitation saying, hey, listen, did you get the invitation? And of course, I love the calls. Did you do the calls in a call night format, or was it kind of a divide and conquer and you just did them, 10 at a time, like a first and 10 or an hour of power or something like that?
Yeah, it was more like an hour of power.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What'd you say? Like what? How did are you okay with role playing? Like,
sure.
Invite me to your shred and purge, because I'll be honest with you, I would have liked to have been invited, but I wasn't. And I live right down the road from you.
You were, and Sherry came.
Oh! Oh! I think I just broke my mic. Oh my God! How cool is that?
Just weren't paying attention.
That tells you how often we talk. So
Yeah, Sherry and her dad came by. It was super fun.
That's awesome.
Got rid of some junk.
That is so good. So, and you got the invite to the right person. You invited Sherry and her dad, right? So
That's right.
That is so good. This is a historic Referrals Podcast moment right here. We need to note that. That is I was invited. Oh my God.
That's right. Yeah.
So I love that. And so let's role play it or go through kind of how that conversation went. Like what, I'll answer the phone. Hello.
Hey Michael, it's Carrie. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Kind of dealing with this COVID stuff and figuring things out.
It's been a crazy year, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, I've sent you a couple of emails recently. We're having an event in a couple of weeks, and I would love for you to stop by. We're helping people clean out their houses and giving them a place to dump their junk and get any shredding done that you have. Ooh. So shredding costs can add up sometimes, and we're going to do that for free for our sphere. So we're going to be at the office on next Saturday from 12 to 3. If you've got anything to drop off, I'd love for you to come by. If you don't, swing by and say hi sometime.
What? So yes, I do have things. So do you take refrigerators?
Awesome. We do.
Wow. That's an awesome one. Do you take tires?
We are not allowed to take tires.
Yeah. How about batteries?
We can take batteries this year.
That's cool. How about furniture? Big furniture, like an old couch?
Furniture. That's right.
How about an old TV?
Old TVs, bring them.
Dang. I love it.
You got all that junk sitting in your basement?
Not anymore. My wife just went to the Shred and Purge event on May 1st. So, no, that's awesome. So, I mean, here's what I hope people get from that. It's like, how freaking easy is that? And that's the thing, like picking up the phone to have that call, so easy, right? So easy. Did you ever,
Michael, if you don't come, you still feel like I gave you something.
That's right. And not only that, but on May 1st, you bought some branding space in my head, because even if I don't attend, I'll think about the fact that you had the event and invited me, but here's the other thing too. Just remember the power of like, you had the event and I didn't get invited. Right. So that's a lesson for everybody. It's just like, hey, listen, the more of those invitations that you get out and make. And then when somebody says, well, you didn't invite me, and then you go, well, as a matter of fact, your spouse and your father-in-law attended, is like, oh, like all that feeling is gone in a heartbeat. Like, it's like, oh my God, now I feel like I owe you even more. How awesome is that? So,
then you've got social media opportunities when you take pictures at the event. You can MailChimp afterwards and say, we had a great event. We collected this many tons of stuff.
Yeah. Love that. And I will tell you, we kind of glossed over the photo part, but that is, if there is a 2021, like, just like my charge statement is take photos, like take photos. take photos and go live. I spoke at my first live event not too long ago, and it was so awesome. So, I mean, it was just like, there was a magic and energy in the room that can't be replicated. So, but it is, this is the year. And by the way, that event was very well done by Amy Ransdell, who is also in Atlanta, Georgia. And she took like 76 photos and shared it on Facebook. Well, what's funny is I don't think there were 76 people at the event. I don't know how many people there were actually, but she made what it was kind of a small, intimate event. It looked humongous because of the different angles and the fact that she took 2s, she took 4s, she took 1s, and if I'm at that event, I'm going to look at, I'm in 7 or 8 of those. Well, everybody's in 7 or 8. Well, if you have 7 or 8 pictures of 76 people, it's like 500 impressions. It's 500 people in the events. She did it so well. And that is my charge for 2021 is when you have your events, overdo it on photos. Like you cannot overdo photos. So I love that. And so what were your biggest wins from this event? Like what were big wins for Carrie Qualters and the Bright Homes team?
So we haven't seen any direct referrals from the people who came through that day. It's still only been a couple of weeks since then, but all of the people that came through are very active members of our 36 touch program. So that's, a good quarter of the touches that is our goal for the year for them done.
Yeah.
And then I did attend a networking event just last week that the leader of the group said in front of the whole Zoom room, Carrie is always doing all these awesome things for her community. It just, even though she didn't come, she saw the invite, she saw the social media and says, there's Carrie out there doing good stuff. So I think that's a huge win. And then just getting some of the junk out of our sweet clients' houses, enlightening their physical and energetic loads, feels really good.
I love that. And I love the fact that you invited the leader of that networking group, didn't attend, and yet they bragged on you in front of everybody. And, it goes back to something I've said several times on this podcast. If you want to be the most referred professional, in your area, if you want to be the most referred professional in your network, in your area, in your city, then be the most generous professional, right? Be known as the most generous professional. The most generous professional will be the most referred professional. Well, that's just adding to that reputation of how generous you are, how good you are for the community, the value that you're providing. There was nothing bad about that, I mean, it can only be good. And there's probably a stranger in the room that didn't know you from Adam, but you know what? They love you all the more right now, and you've already got a warm intro without even, without having met them yet, So I love that. Any other big wins from the events?
I think that it's important to mention the impact of the event because we pooled our resources. Mm-hmm. We were each able to brand it as our own personal event. Yeah. Yet it only cost us $125 a person.
Come on. Come on. $125 for 9 communications, right? She communicated with her database about 9 times if you look at all the different ways that they communicated. And it costs $125, times 11 would be $1,500 or so.
Well, those dumpsters are expensive to rent.
That's right. That's right.
We've got 2 shred machines, I
love it.
Not a cheap event to put on by yourself.
That's right. And the other thing about collaborating, what's interesting is you're collaborating with your competing agents in some cases. Yep. But here's what's interesting about real estate in general, for those that don't, we collaborate far more than we compete. We very, very, very rarely compete with someone else in this market. That's just the truth, right? I mean, especially if you're working by referrals. I probably competed on 100 listings, over 1,500 listings, where we would go in against competition because we're all referral. It's like,
and if you've got an attitude of abundance, there's plenty for all of us.
That's right.
So you're not my competition. There's enough business for all of us.
So let's go back to that, right? So how many, and people need to realize this office is full 350 agents that are all basically from a small area. So how much overlap was there in the spheres of the 11 agents who had people there?
0.
Okay. This is the greatest podcast ever, Qualters. I mean, it's like all these things that I've been telling people forever. But here's the thing, right? I mean, if there is an expired listing, how many agents are calling to compete over that one expired listing, right? Maybe 115, maybe 350, right? In that office. I mean, if they're all calling the expired, but there's no competition in your sphere. People think all the time, well, they know 10 realtors, but the answer is they only really know one really well. Yeah. And they're only going to really refer one.
And they only know one who's inviting them to cool stuff.
That's right. That's right. I mean, so much good stuff. So what advice do you have on doing an office event if somebody's wanting to take it to their broker or do one in their area?
I think the thing that I would want to point out, I've seen big mega agents get up on stage and talk about their awesome events they do. And I'll look at them and I'm like, oh my God, I don't have the money, time, rock star assistant, room. It would take a whole planning committee to pull that off. Yeah. And I was very intimidated for a long time to do events. And also I was scared nobody would show up. You know that. I started doing events under your coaching and oh my God, Michael, what if nobody shows and I'm sitting there by myself? But when you do this sort of open house style event where people come and go, if you have low turnout on your first go round, it's okay because that one person who comes by doesn't know that 20 don't come right after they leave. So that really relieved my anxiety. Mm-hmm. So when you do a group event like this, so what if each of you has mediocre turnout? Yeah. First of all, that lady praised me in front of a whole room of people. Like, it doesn't matter who turns out. Who comes is not the point.
Yeah.
And, it just kind of collaborating and doing the open house style, I think, just gives so much to the event that makes it easy to just do it.
Yeah. And the drive-through has a big part of it too. I think we have to talk about that, where it's like when they come and get it. I've told the story a couple of times about Jeff Homan, who, we did an Earth Day birthday, our very first one. We were giving trees away, and like I invited 150 people like 10 times. And when it was all said and done, I only had 7 who RSVP'd that they actually wanted to pick up a tree. And Jeff Homan came in an hour and a half after the beginning, so it was kind of like a 12 to 2 or something like that. Came in at 1:30 and looked, and there was like 5 trees left. And he was like, oh my gosh, good thing I came when I did. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so true. Good thing you came when you did, right? Now, his assumption was that he was getting one of the last 5 trees. He didn't know there was 7 total.
To start
and it was just like, oh my gosh, take a tree or 3. Here's 3 trees. And so he took 3 trees and planted them. And we eventually sold that house down the road. But it just like, I love that aspect of it. And then sharing it, you could have had 0 show up, Carrie. And there were 50 people who went through there, and it still would have been a success. If you had 1 person show up, they would have seen the 50 and thought, well, they're all here for Carrie.
You got it. Because that's their own part of them are, yeah.
And that's their tie-in. So I love that, and I think I want to make a kind of a universal statement on office level events that I have seen. Like, we had an office do a trunk or treat event like very, very early on in my career. It was my 2nd or 3rd year. And I didn't know any better. And quite honestly, I didn't care either. But I invited everybody I knew like 50 times. Like this, and here's the thing. I had 200 people show up for trunk or treat. Their kids were there. It was the Michael Maher freaking event in an office of 150 others. And some of the other agents were put off. And they were just like, well, that was kind of like a Michael Maher event, or it's kind of like it kind of became a Maher event, didn't it? And at first I was like, I don't know if embarrassed is the right word. I was like, dang, I didn't, I'm not here to get along, but I also didn't want to offend anybody but the more I thought about it, it's like they had the same opportunity or more than I did. And I'm not going to apologize for being freaking awesome.
That's right.
And that's what I want people to take to heart here is 350 agents had the opportunity. 11 decided to go to the awesome level. And that's the same thing with the trunk or treat is listen, never apologize for being awesome. Make it happen. Take advantage of the opportunity to the nth level. Don't worry about the details. Don't worry about the other stuff. Don't worry if too many people go through. It's just like, do it 100%. And
if you're going to do it 100%.
That's right. And maximize it. I love, I got to give a shout out to Brandon Tracy, who has talked about his brokerage level events on Referrals Podcast. And he does this in Arizona with his Brandon Tracy group. And, if you take that one where he talks about it from an office level and you combine it with this one, this is great training around how to maximize office events. So I apologize. I am not sure of the podcast number where we went into detail with Brandon, but if you do a search on the referralspodcast.com for Brandon Tracy, his will come up as well. Pair these together. And I'm telling you, you've got an hour and you've got a course on how to maximize office events. So
there's all kinds of things you could do. We've done cookies with Santa in our office and a toy drive with it. It's perfect. Easy to do.
I love it. I love it. So I'm telling you, I mean, we could go on and on and on with how we're going to make this better, the wins and so on and so forth. But we're right up on our time. And I want to make sure that I'm definitely, I am aware and responsible to your time. I know that you've got to run, but here's the thing is first and foremost, Carrie, thank you so much for coming on and being our guest on Referrals Podcast.
It has been an honor and a lot of fun to be with you, Michael.
It flew by. I mean, it literally flew by. This was one of the fastest things I ever remember recording, and with several drop the mic moments, I left and right. I love that the focus was on the top with the phone calls. I love that you sent it to everybody, an invite to everybody, and you followed up with a follow-up text message. You did it through Hour of Power. You leveraged and scaled through the office and the time that you had. You communicated in 7 to 9 different ways with the people in your. It didn't have to be expensive. It didn't. It was affordable. $125 for that many contacts, and it doesn't have to be mega. It doesn't have to be 1,000 people. It was 50, 100 people who came through, and it was very timely. I love the shred and purge, spring cleaning, Spring Fest type of atmosphere with it. I also love that you were one of 11 agents out of 350 who took advantage of this. I love that this is the 5th year of it. That's something people can plan around. You can make it bigger.
It's going to get better and better. Yeah,
that's right. You can tweak it.
We need to add a communication earlier in the year to say, don't forget the spring cleaning, shred and purge. We haven't added that into the lineup. We need to do that.
I love it. There's so many ways you can make it better. I mean, if we're thinking out loud, I mean, I'm sponsors. I mean, I'm all over sponsors. I mean, I would have sponsors. I would have a charity involved, right? In some big way. I mean, Goodwill could be there is like, throw that away. Don't throw that away. We could sell it,
We do end up dumpster diving personally.
So I love that, right? So I think, so maybe you let Goodwill dumpster dive first. Right. And then you take maybe what is it there and then throw away the rest. I just love so much about this, and this is going to be a podcast I know people are going to listen to over and over again to parse out the pearls that were in here. So thanks again. I really appreciate it.
I hope so. I hope people go out and have some events.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate all of you. Thanks again for listening to another amazing, awesome, if you will, podcast. And I want to give you one final reminder. First of all, rate and review Referrals Podcast, please. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And this is your last chance to sign up for 7lbookclub.com. I am personally leading it live on Zoom. We'll have Tuesdays and Fridays. We'll go through the book, three chapters a week until we get through the entire book in June, and you will have a 7L system strategy. You will have implemented 4 of them, at least, out of the over 100 that are in the book. And I'm also going to tell you some nuances and secrets that are in 7L that my wife doesn't even know about. Ladies and gentlemen, I love all of you. We'll see you next on Referrals Podcast. Thanks, everybody.